Hey, how's it going, everyone? So RuneScape just released a new poll for April 4th, and before we get started, there's one key piece of information that's going to be on the first page once we open it up, and so really pay attention to that. So go ahead and click this link here. The second content poll is up, and then it'll bring you to this page. Now, this page is where the important information is. To participate, you'll need to be a member with at least 100 level total level, which makes sense. It's the same as it was before. However, a feature poll is considered successful if it has achieved over 75% yes votes when it closes. That's the important part. Now, my last video I showed why one of the votes for unids, if they should stay unids or if they should go back to grimy, and that vote was 51% to 49%, and I'm not sure where it was at the end, but basically what they said there is that those kind of votes where it comes down and it's really close are not going to be implemented into the game, which I think is a really good idea, because you got to consider that about half of the people don't really know necessarily what they're doing. I mean, this is a content poll, so it's like you can think of, 8-year-olds that simply don't know what they're doing and just voting, wherever they want. So this really shows that, like, it's important to them that most of the community wants what's happening. It's not a simple majority vote, which is a great idea. So now we'll go down and go ahead and click here to vote. And you'll click that, and then the questions will come up. Now, on this poll, I was actually a bit sad that, at least at one of the questions specifically, and I'll get to that when we get there. So the first question is really the same question that we had in the last poll, but they made it way more obvious what exactly they're going to be doing. So the last one simply said that free-to-play worlds will be added into the game, and alongside the other 2007Scapes. So this opened a bunch of questions basically saying, will you take away worlds that we already have? Will you be forced to go into these worlds? Will these worlds be free to play for anyone so that anyone could play them? And basically in this question, they're answering it for you before you even vote. So that's a really good idea, because that one had a lot of questions around it. So they've pretty much answered all those in this question. And basically this question is simply saying, do you want free-to-play worlds with restrictions added, accessible to all RuneScape members only, so you have to be a member, and those who do not wish to use these worlds would not be required to visit. So I voted yes for the last one because I had a feeling that this was exactly what they were talking about. So I really had no problems with the last one, so I'm just going to say yes there. Now, the second one, the pathfinding code should prevent bugs where players run back and forth and dance around large NPCs. Now, I'm really conflicted with this one, because I now understand the pathfinding where you cannot spam click. Anyone who's sitting there spam clicking to get to where they need to go is going to realize that their character is going to be going back and forth and dancing around objects and all sorts of stuff. So I'm actually going to vote no for this one, simply because that's the way the game was, and just learn how to play the game. I mean, it's not really a problem with the pathfinding code as much as it is a problem with the way that people are playing the game. If you spam click, you're not going to be successful. So, but if you click once every 3 seconds and you're running in a straight line through a forest, let's say, I've had it where I never run backwards, because you just keep clicking, every 3 seconds only once and make sure it's in a straight line, and there's really no problem. So I'm going to vote no there. Simply just learn the game. I mean, we shouldn't be changing the game just to make stuff easier in that sense. So the third question, update some of the training obstacles such as pipes to allow multiple players to go through them simultaneously. I say yes, because there's no point in allowing other players to impede on your playing of the game. So if they're sitting there spamming the pipes and no one else can go through it, that's just something you shouldn't have to deal with, I don't think. So I'm going to vote yes for that one. The fourth one is holding down the mouse wheel will allow you to rotate the camera. I'm going to vote yes, simply because if you want to do that, that's fine. Not really game-changing at all. The list of activities from the themed worlds forum post would be added to the world select pages. So there's a forum post that basically has official, quote-unquote, official worlds for certain activities. And basically what they're saying is they'd make it like the live game, where there's specific worlds listed out when you're logging in that say what they're for. And I'm just going to say yes, because that'll make it so you don't have to go to the forums, you don't have to check or memorize what they are. You can just do it as it is in the live game, which is pretty convenient. So the sixth question, if a world is full, players trying to log into it will be placed in a queue rather than having to repeatedly log in until there's space. I'm actually going to vote no for this one, because I think that a queue would make it so that the worlds would just be even more infested and laggy. simply because you have the disadvantage when you're trying to get into a World 1 or World 2 where you know that you're going to have to spam log in, log in, log in, and it might take you several minutes. And so a lot of people are deterred from going to those worlds because of that, and I think that's the way it should be. I don't think we should all just be sitting waiting for the queue to get into World 1, because then everyone is going to be going to World 1 and 2, you know? So I don't think that's a great idea. I'm going to say no, because I don't mind logging in over and over again. I usually get it pretty quickly anyway. Seventh question. While you're trading with another player, their chat messages will be copied into your trade chat tab so that you can read them more easily. Now, this is for when you're in World 1. Make sure that you guys click trade at the bottom, because basically if you don't have trade on, you're just going to be seeing everyone's messages. If you have trade on, you're only going to see trades, and basically what they're saying is you'll only see trades with the trade tab, but if it's up, if you guys are trading, then anything they type out will be seen in the trade tab as well. So I'm going to say yes to this, because it's really hard if you're trying to get, you know, people are selling strength pots and attack pots, and you put up money and they're like, well, do you want strength or attack? You know, it's hard to talk to people when you're trading them, especially in World 1 or 2 where there's so much chat going on. So I think that's really advantageous to be able to talk to people even in free worlds, so I'm going to hit yes for this. Now, this is the biggest problem I have with this poll. I think this is just silly, and I don't know why they would ask this, but question number 8, players will be permitted to return to Apatol without claiming defense XP for Monkey Madness, allowing peers to attempt the Monkey chapter of Recipe for Disaster. Now, this would allow peers to get Addy gloves, which is not my problem necessarily. I mean, I do think that increasing what they're allowed to have from what was allowed in 2007 is just, it could be a slippery slope. You know, next thing is like, oh, well, you know, if you guys like the Addy gloves, why not we add, like, you know, Dragon Claws? So I just think it's not a good idea to make sure to allow peers to get Addy gloves, because they weren't allowed in 2007. And also, I mean, the game changed, I forgot, I think it was around 2008 or 2009, where they allowed peers to go back to Apatol without defense XP, and there wasn't like a quest or anything associated with that. They just decided, why not let peers do it? But that didn't happen in 2007, and I think it's silly for us to just allow it and say, oh, well, you know, I do like my Addy gloves, I want to hit a little bit harder, so sure. You know, we voted for 2007, so I think it should stay that way. So I'm going to go ahead and vote no for that one, and that one really caught me by surprise. I was not expecting them to ask a question like that, but maybe you guys don't feel the same way. Question number 9, if you cast a second alchemy spell, while a previous alchemy spell is still in progress, the second one will be queued until the first one finishes. It will not stack up more than one time. So that's very similar. It's the same exact way as it is in the live game, where if you're alching, you could alch twice and then wait for the first animation to go away, and then you could do it again and just have a queue going so that you're not... so that you don't miss any time. It's continuously casting. So I'm going to vote yes for this, just because it's kind of a convenience issue, not really game-changing, and it makes sure that people who aren't using auto-clickers, I know a lot of people use auto-clickers for alching, and people who don't use auto-clickers right now are kind of at a disadvantage, because if you don't click at that perfect time, you're not getting the best experience you can get. So I'm going to vote yes, just because that'll make it easier for people who aren't auto-clicking. So we'll go ahead and vote here, and then you can go ahead and view results as before. And remember from the first page that 75% yes is required by the end. So things like this, holding down the mouse wheel, that might not actually pass. That might be a thing that they throw away and never gets implemented into the game. Now, this is why I'm not too angry, is because right here, allowing peers to go back to Apatol without the defense experience, that's 59 to 41, so that's unlikely to pass. That's probably not going to pass, that's not going to be a thing, and peers will still only be able to get myth gloves. So I'm pretty happy with that, because that came out of left field for me. I did not expect them to be asking that kind of question, so I'm glad that that's probably not going to pass, but it seems like almost everything else besides that, the login queue and the mouse wheel to move the camera, everything else will probably pass, because most of it's the same as the first poll, where it's convenience issues and just silly stuff that we don't really care too much about. So that's pretty much the end of the poll. I mean, I thought it was a good one besides this one question. I really did not like question 8. So let me know what you guys think. Maybe you thought that they were justified in allowing us to get Addy gloves. I'm not sure, but even me as a peer, I didn't think that we should be able to. So Thanks a bunch for watching. Go ahead and subscribe. I'll have some new videos out. I've been working on my main a lot recently, so I'll make sure I bring you some progress on that. And see you next time, guys.
Do you even lift, bro?